What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Another edition. Mortgage Celebrities, Frank and Rob Partners in Property here
up,
in
guys?
the Conquest Studios.
Yes.
Studio. Wait, Conquest Mortgage Studio.
The studio.
The studio.
The only studio.
Yes. Special guest today. We're super excited to finally get you guys on the books and get you in. We've got Steve and Jeremy from Klose Custom Homes. Guys, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about what you do, your specialties, and what brought you in today.
Yeah, so my name's Steve Klose. I started the company back in 2008, end of 2008, beginning of 2009, right in the market crash. I got laid off from my job working for another custom home builder, and I was doing finished carpentry, all the like interior trim work, that kind of stuff. And over the last 17 years now, that has morphed into custom homes.
Nice.
But we do everything from it kind of morphed first into kitchens and baths, and then it moved into additions and renovations and stuff like that. And then it's moved into new home construction. So we've been doing that for a number of years now. And yeah, we're just what brought us in here today. I brought Jeremy on last year for helping us with the kind of scaling and growing our business. So we've been getting in touch with a lot of mortgage and realtors and trying to connect those dots.
Yep.
Just help us expand our network a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Jeremy and I have known each other for a little while now, and he connected with me. We went and had lunch, right, when you told me about the move you were making and this venture, which was super exciting. We love having connections like this in our industry, especially with the way the market is these days, to have another option for our clients. So it's always good to add another name to the Rolodex, right?
We could always use house inventory.
Yeah.
Is super, I could talk all day about that in itself, but it's nice that you guys are adding to that, which is really good. What's your, so your normal client that you go through, we talked a little bit before we start the cast, what is your normal kind of your client that you work with? As you start with the remodeling, usually they have their lot, that kind of thing. You're not a track type home builder.
No. We're not building like multi-units or things like that, at least not at this point. Our target, I'm a pretty particular individual, and I kind of like details. I say to Jeremy and others that I do what I do because I enjoy the artistic element of it more so than I like the business side of it. So
that's awesome.
I enjoy getting my hands dirty and physically doing stuff. Unfortunately, there's less and less of that now, the bigger the company's gotten. But for me, it's, individual customers that more than likely will already have their lot, or they're looking for lots, which is partially why we reached out for real estate, guys, just so that we can get in touch with people that can source property.
Nice.
But our customers are usually looking at building their dream home. If it's a custom home, it's not just the next step. It's usually something they want to be in for a number of years. So that's kind of what we're targeting.
Yeah, and I'll kind of give the breakdown of our internal team. So we have 6 interior finish guys, right? So throughout the course of the year, it's not just the home builds we're doing. We still have to, keep projects in line to keep the guys busy all year long. Sure. And so oftentimes it's the kitchens, it's the bathroom renovations, right? So with home builds, we're subbing out a great portion of those, first steps in the process up until the point where, the home is ready for us to come into. So
basically boxed down, you guys are jumping in.
Yep, exactly. So, but throughout the course of the rest of the year, we still have to bring in those, the other projects. And
Well, we specialize in kitchens and baths too. So we actually are distributors for a handful of different cabinet manufacturers.
Okay.
That's kind of where I started on the kitchen and bath side of things. So we actually carry several lines from several different manufacturers. So we offer everything from like super, super high-end custom all the way down to like more of an entry level for affordable, options. A lot of people that are looking for an apartment or a basement or something like that they don't want to fork out, big ticket,
right?
Cover everything.
Yep. Yeah, so that's nice. Nice to have that flexibility on your side.
Yeah, for sure.
Keep the projects more open, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
It also allows us the control a little bit of being able to kind of handle that. We do our own design. We have a 3D modeling program that basically allows the customer to do a 3D tour of their kitchen, and it's actually the catalogs merge with any of the manufacturer's actual catalog, so it can give you real time like
Really see
appearance of
that's
exactly
cool.
what your
That's
kitchen's
awesome.
going to look like. So,
Technology, man, right?
yeah, so it's amazing. So that's kind of something that keeps us pretty busy.
So what's the process like? So let's just say a client comes over and says, hey guys, I want you guys to design my dream home. Like what exactly does that entail? What does the process look like? How long does it take?
Yep. Yeah, it depends. A lot depends on land. So if they've already acquired the land, like if they have not acquired the land, obviously that could be as long as it takes to find the right
Yeah,
lot.
we're
But
familiar with that part of it.
yeah, and there's considerations for finding the right lot too. A lot of people don't think about, and some of it is like we built a home for a customer that had a very specific property that they needed to use because it was already gifted them, but the property was on a protected wetland. So there's all kinds of environmental controls that go into that. So that lead time can be pretty lengthy.
Yeah,
and
more
can
cost and
get
stuff
expensive.
involved.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's that. But if somebody brings you a lot, or if somebody is coming and they don't have a lot, the first things I would instruct them is like the red flags to look out for. So like, are you near a wetlands, or are you any area that would have any kind of like zoning restrictions that would impact what you want to do on the lot?
Yep.
So those are things to consider. But once we get beyond those things, then the time that it takes after somebody acquires a property, it really just depends on how particular the person is and how good an idea they have for the design they want. We work with a couple different designers that we outsource to, and they will sit down with the person and kind of get a good idea for what sort of layout, what's important for you as far as bedrooms, baths, kitchen. Do you want an open concept? Do you want individual rooms? What are you looking for overall? And then once we kind of have that nailed down, usually the design time from an actual design to actual like starting the project is a couple months for permitting and planning purposes. So I would say your total lead up, if you're looking to build a home and you already have the land, plan at least 6 months at the onset before you're going to start putting a hole in the ground.
Before you actually break the ground. Yeah.
That's conservative. We have one that we just did that took a year. So it just depends.
Going back to the original question, I mean, the very first thing, because by and large, the majority of people that come to us and start talking have no idea what to expect. I mean, they're really just trying to get information, right? So that first sit down is very informative for them. And it's us asking the right questions of them asking the right questions of us, and us setting proper expectations, which he just alluded to, in many ways is this can be pretty, extensive process, right?
Sure.
And then, it varies conversation to conversation. Right now we have someone that's talking to us that, has a set of land. And so our initial conversation with them was we actually just looked at their plot, and was looking for their elevations and how things were set up. But it's all about that first conversation where, you're setting the proper expectation and making sure that before we do anything moving forward, that we're on the same page with how this process is going to look.
Yeah, occasionally you'll run into somebody that doesn't have as many cost restrictions, but for most customers, cost is obviously the big controlling factor. So one of the things that you also need to look at when you even just get a lot is like where you put in the house, because there's things to consider there that can cost serious money, which is like how far back from the road are you going to be? Because that's a driveway. If you want it paved, that's a lot of money. Like you're going to throw a lot of money into, fill if like you have to bring elevation up to a certain height and stuff like that. So there's things to talk through with the customer so that they kind of get an understanding of like, if all things were ideal and they could put it wherever they want and money's no object, that's one thing. But,
right.
There's a lot to consider.
We see that on our end, because people come to us
Yes.
and they think it's going to be this simple thing. Well, I can't find anything in the resale market, so I'm just going to build, right? It's the mindset, like, well, now I'll get exactly what I want.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure.
True.
But do you realize what really goes into that?
Right.
And like the things you said, we have people that come to us a lot first for the land, right? To say, we need to start with the lot. And honestly, sometimes I like when they come and sit down with you guys first and get that full expectation, before we even go out and start lot hunting, because it does give them that perspective then when we're looking at the different land and like, okay, this one's elevated, or this is, the driveway, this is going to be ridiculous. This is a flag lot, all those things.
Yeah.
So, it's great for us when
that could
they
add a
end
lot
up
of
with
money.
you. Yeah, because it ends up quick.
You have the house. I'm just thinking, I haven't been thinking of that, like grading and elevation and drive. But so you think X amount, but even going to look at the lot, you got to look at all that.
Sure.
Yep.
Yep. And depending on the area, right, is it going to get hooked up to public water, public sewer, or are you going to have to put in individual, septic systems and wells, and there's so many little costs too that I don't think they necessarily anticipate
Yeah.
Sure.
when they're like, oh, let's just build. So yeah,
And
that's
typically
great.
our clients are the ones who are looking to be off, from the
Okay.
cities and whatnot. So they're out in the land, and it's typically septic.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that is involved in
Oh, yeah.
determining all that.
I have clients that are terrified. They're like, oh, I don't want a septic system.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what do you know about a septic system? They're like, nothing. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about that first.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
true.
it's interesting, but yeah, I love the concept, right? People can build their house, especially with you guys, right? They can kind of get more customizable and really build something that's exactly fitting their needs. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
for sure.
Can you guys talk a little bit about trends right now? I know previously we were talking about in-law suites. So is there anything going on right now in the market when you guys are building that people are asking for? I know I was talking a little bit about dining rooms, maybe phasing out, and home offices, or at least some of our clients are looking at getting a house with a home office. So is there anything that's
So I previously came from working for a home care company,
Okay.
and so the concept of aging in place was, very near and dear to my heart. It's something that my wife and I actually are intending to do with my parents. My father-in-law has Parkinson's, and so it's something that, I certainly aspire to have in place for us. But it's definitely a trend that's happening. Is people are wanting to bring their mom and dad into the home or build offset buildings on their property for them. And so we've had several conversations about that very thing, and I'll let Steve kind of talk about one of the situations we just went through. But yeah, more and more people are looking to bring mom and dad into the home.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we couldn't be more happy to provide a service like that, because we're advocates of that. I mean, not everyone's situation is the same in the ability to bring mom and dad into the home, and there's all kinds of complexities when it comes to that. But certainly, if you're coming to us saying that that's your desire, we're going to be more than pleased to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think it's tough right now, right? I think the reality of the cost for people to get care on their own, right? Or the certain facilities that they have to go to and how expensive that is. So the shift is, why don't we bring you guys in? Why don't we do it this
There's cost
way?
advantages to bringing mom and dad in the home. You're keeping wealth within your family
Exactly.
by, if mom and dad are going to sell their home and then pour it into, like if I'm building on my house with their funds, it's keeping the wealth within the family.
100%.
Versus,
It's an easy way to do wealth acquisition or transition, without
absolutely.
the tax implications.
Yep, exactly.
So,
and then if they're going into some of these care homes and stuff, they pretty much take all of it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they take
you-
a
significant
you get
portion.
blood dry for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
unless
that's
you're
great.
exceedingly wealthy, you're
Yeah.
essentially
There's
getting
ways
a
for people to
significant amount
protect
of
their
your
wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that with trust and things, I know there's certain things people do.
But that's
to
another
try.
thing where largely people don't have that knowledge
Right.
unless they're sitting down with a good wealth advisor. And
Sure.
You
Early on.
have, you have to be
yeah.
planning
Yeah.
that out years in
Yeah.
advance if you're going to try to
Yeah.
go that
Yeah, no, I love that trend. I mean, if we're seeing more of that, I think that generation, right, they're staying in homes longer
Yep.
before even going to care places anyway. So that's very cool.
I mean,
Good to
another
know.
thing is a lot of people are coming to us and either for the addition's sake, right now we have a client who's got a 2-story home. They want to build out for the purpose of aging in place. But we have new clients that are coming to us looking to build a home from the ground up, and they're looking to do ranch style because they don't want to have to do an
They're
addition.
thinking long term.
They're thinking long term. They
Yeah.
want that single story,
Sure.
set it and forget it,
Yep.
and be good to go.
Yep.
Well, that you asked about trends, and that's kind of something that has been, I mean, for probably at least a decade, but it's been very common for first floor bedroom master suites,
Even
right?
just a
So
first
like,
floor master.
so
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of times you'll get accessory bedrooms and stuff on the second floor because everybody, well, I shouldn't say everybody knows, but a lot of people know that it's cheaper to go up than out when you're building. So a lot of times they'll put kids' bedrooms or guest rooms, even office spaces or things like that on the second floor. But
Sure.
for the first floor, oftentimes it's going to be your master suite, laundry, all that stuff's going to be on the first floor.
Yeah, it's like the 55 and older communities, right? That's what you
Yep.
see a lot.
Yep.
It's main space and even maybe an extra bedroom. Then there's the
Sometimes a
loft.
loft.
Yeah, but
another
you'd be
room,
surprised even
or-
people in their 30s and 40s are like already preparing
doing
that
that now.
because,
That's
well, at
cool.
least for us, because
Yeah.
we're building a custom home. So somebody's going to come to us with something they want to stay in rather than like this is a 3-year plan.
Yeah,
You
sure.
know, so
Yeah,
Long term.
they might as well just do it now for the long term,
Right.
Because they're going to spend the money anyway.
Yep.
Are you guys seeing smaller homes? Like people just want a smaller footprint?
yeah, we do. I mean, there's a range. I mean,
Some.
you still
Okay.
our last couple of years, 4,500 square feet is more like what we've been doing, but those are like larger. I would consider that to be mid to large, obviously. But then, we have a few people that have been kind of approaching us about smaller like ranch homes and stuff like that. But it's not been, I wouldn't say we've seen like a dramatic turn that's been primarily what we've been pursuing. So
not like the tiny homes.
no, at least I'm not seeing that, at least not around here.
I don't know if that trend is going away or not. That was a thing for a while.
Yeah,
But
anyway.
no, it's smart.
I mean, for a smaller home to build custom is going to be quite more expensive than buying a track home.
You have certain fixed costs that are always going to be there.
True.
So you still need water, you still need sewer, you still need all that stuff. Even so, there's some big ticket items on the front end that you're still going to pay for, no matter if the house is smaller. So
That's true.
So I was going to say other trends though that you had mentioned. I know at one point like open concept was like huge, and not to say that it's not, but I think people don't want just like a giant room with everything in it. We're seeing stuff more broken up now in kind of sections, but not. There still is usually like a living and dining connection, living, dining, and kitchen kind of connection, but everything else then kind of halos around that and is broken off. So that's something that at least we've seen. There was a period of time there where I feel like everything was just like one big, giant
space,
room, and everybody wanted this
like
open
concept.
Hall, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of not the main thing anymore, but
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is. I'm fascinated with it. I follow the trends, but I always have noticed it feels like the people out west, if you look at like Colorado, Utah, California, what they're doing always seems to be like way ahead, and then it catches up over here. But I'm always fascinated with what they're doing out there, and it's cool. And I've noticed that it's the functionality is so important now. It's not just big and massive. It's high ceilings and some grandeur to it, but like you said, like individual office space or stuff that's a little broken up, but then like that main area where you're spending most of your time, your cool family room with a beautiful fireplace, and the kitchen with the island is all kind of functionally together and open.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to watch that kind
And
of
I've
stuff.
also seen like the quiet luxury. It's no longer about the bigger house. It's about the materials that you use or like how you design the spaces to maximize exactly how you live. So I think that's really fascinating as well.
Yep, I've noticed that too. Are you guys seeing that yet here? I see like kitchen's a little smaller, but then like the butler's pantry or something that's hidden away, but it's functional, for storage and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of that depends on the square footage of the usable space of the house. We're doing one now that does have a very nice attached butler's pantry as well, but they also have a pretty large kitchen. So, so it's kind of both. But separate areas. They have a lot of cabinetry in this house as well. But yeah, I think that's reasonable to say that if you have a smaller house, like things like pantry storage is always like a very undervalued thing. I think when at least it used to be, and it's more and more becoming the sort of thing that people recognize. Like, I got to store stuff. I don't know if it's because we went through COVID and everybody was like, "Oh my word, I need to like have stockpiles of stuff." But I think people just want space, and there's also like more of an emphasis now too for like clean foods and stuff like that too, and so organic products and whatnot, and that stuff does like, I just think that there's, you need, you need space to put things, especially if you're going to be buying and it's not as readily available if you have to order in stuff like that. So it just depends what you're getting.
Yeah, it doesn't last as long, right?
Like even exactly. It doesn't last as long. So like cooling, like we're doing a lot of like double unit fridge, freezer, that kind of setup so that people have way more storage. It used to just be like everybody got a 36-inch fridge. And now it's like everyone's getting double. Or they're getting, potentially like a side-by-side, like a big, zero freeze
almost
or
like
something
commercial
like that.
size.
Yeah, more of that. And there's some good options out there, too, that you can do that kind of mimic that commercial look for not quite as expensive. So there's some good solutions for everybody.
Not all Sub-Zeros and everything like that.
So as I'm sitting here, I bought my house, which was more, it wasn't a track home, it was a quasi-custom home.
Semi-custom.
Maybe 10 years ago. Now I'm sitting here going, I would like that. The custom and then the butler's but my head's up like I got a piece of land this is because you don't get this kind of customization with most builders. It's more cookie cutter and you kind of have a little switch here now, which is really cool.
One of the things we've wrestled with a little bit is just there's a lot of headache that comes along with the level of customization that we allow, and we're always back and forth with, is it better to just give people 5 or 6 options
Sure.
and let them choose from those? Because most builders, it's like, here's your 3 options. You can paint this color, this color, this color. You can get this cabinet, this cabinet, or this cabinet.
Yeah.
And they give you a handful of options, and then they'll say it's custom because you get to choose.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, it's like, here's an open catalog of whatever you want. Like the internet is your friend.
Mm-hmm.
The problem for us is that it adds a lot of complexity because we're learning new products all the time.
Sure.
So we have a lot of recommendations to give people for things we like, things that we would recommend that are good quality, but we've definitely run into situations where we start working on it and we're like, there's a problem here.
You certainly understand why builders are doing that, where they're just giving
Yep.
because it makes the process so much more streamlined and easier.
Oh, it
but
absolutely
It
streamlines
creates a lot of headaches or homework for us, I
Yeah.
should say, because I have to research every little thing about an appliance before we put it in, because they require outlets to be in a certain location. They require a certain amount of spacing for ventilation. They require there's all these restrictions on every single appliance, and they're different from appliance to appliance.
Yeah.
So it's more work for us.
But it's certainly a differentiating factor for our company.
Yeah, but
When
it can
we
be
call ourselves
overwhelming.
Custom Homes, we are in fact Custom
You
Homes.
are full on.
Yeah.
Full
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
Custom Homes.
Do you find that it can be too much information for
100%.
certain clients?
It can be,
They go down
and
that rabbit
sometimes we've had some customers that I think it's nice that we offer what we do, because there are some customers that are very particular. They know what they want, and so to have the knowledge to be able to say to somebody, here's the things you need to think about, it kind of puts them at ease to know, like, okay, they've thought about this.
Yeah.
But then there's other customers that I've tried to give details to, and I can tell very quickly, like, they're just like
Overwhelmed.
they're overwhelmed. So
Yeah.
for those people, we kind of make some decisions and say, like, what do you think about this?
Oh,
and
that's
then
nice.
it's like yay or nay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
that helps them out. You just have to read the customer.
For sure.
And Jeremy, you talked about them coming in, looking at putting together models and things. Where are you guys located? Like, where's your kind of your headquarters?
Easiest landmarker is the Shankweiler Drive-In Theater.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So we're in Orfield, right on Shankweiler
Oh, nice.
Road, just down the street from the theater.
Nice.
Awesome.
A couple years ago, Steve, you'll see it's his family compound. He's got all kinds of family members living in that
Nice.
area. And he had an old barn there on the property that he just expanded significantly on for our shop.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
And our operations there. So
Awesome.
It's beautiful up there.
Super
It's a great spot.
central location.
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
Yeah, we're just a little west of Allentown, basically.
And where do
Orfield.
you service too? We talked about you kind of a larger footprint too.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer to not drive every day more than an hour if I don't
Sure.
have to.
That's
But I mean,
still
we've
much
gone
better,
as
yeah.
far west as Hershey, and we've gone
wow.
as far east as kind of the Jersey border. But as far south as down Norristown area,
Nice.
and then as far north as Stroudsburg. So we kind of cover a pretty broad area.
Nice.
Yeah. I feel like that's, especially these days,
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to go where the land is a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well-
it just depends on the project. If we have to be there every day, like the Hershey project was a total restoration. It was actually for a family member of mine,
Oh, wow.
but it's a bed and breakfast in Hershey called, I'll shout them out, but it's the Inn on Church Road. And so they have, there you go, look them up. It's beautiful.
It's
It's,
phen- it's
absolutely
phenomenal.
gorgeous. It was a restoration project. It was a multi-year project. It was a restoration of a 1820 stone farmhouse. We actually went so far as to harvest rubble stone from a limestone barn that had been torn down in the area to rebuild their gables and fill in certain windows and other things just so everything was authentic. The walls are 18-inch thick
gorgeous.
stone.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was an actual restoration project. We brought in an artisan mason to basically rebuild some of the structure, and then we built a large addition on it.
Mm-hmm.
So they have 6 suites. It was
Oh, cool.
super complex. But anyway, that was a lot because there was a lot of travel involved.
Sure,
so
sure.
that's not, and we were very hands-on. We pretty much, we framed that.
Got
We
it.
did everything ourselves because I didn't know that area as well at the time.
Okay.
So I wasn't as
Oh, who
well-versed.
you could trust.
I
the
didn't,
source
yeah, I
or
wasn't
two.
going to just
Yeah.
give anybody that job. So,
Sure.
so we basically did a lot ourselves. We framed it. We did literally everything but drywall and insulation. You know,
It's got to be
so.
a very
But staying on
rewarding
point
project,
with
too.
your question, I mean, the more that we're emphasizing, awareness about us, because Steve built his business almost entirely on word of mouth and reputation within our ranks. But now we're really starting to branch out, and so the more that we can control our work area being primarily the Lehigh Valley,
Mhm.
the better. And we're certainly seeing the results of that.
Yeah.
Still, like I said earlier, we have to keep our guys busy, throughout the course of the year. So there are projects that fit, that are a little bit further away that we're going to be willing to
Or
travel to.
Friends or family,
Yeah.
a lot of our distant work has been people we knew.
Okay.
There was another connection, and so we would travel.
We're
for
doing a
that.
big project out in Jersey. I think I don't know if we got it on the podcast. We were talking earlier, but you know, it's out in AC, right?
Oh,
But
wow.
we know the client. We've done work for him in the past. We know we're not going to have any issues. It's going to be a very streamlined process, and financially speaking, it's going to be worth it for us. So again, if all those aspects can come together, we'll go wherever for the right project.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And spend some time on the beach.
Yes, that's it.
And in the
You're close.
casino, no.
The funny thing is I don't know that just based on the timeline that we got there, the joke was that the guys are going to be working like 12-hour days. They're not going to have a lot of time for the beach, but we'll see.
Make it work.
We'll
It'd be a
see.
fun time.
Yeah,
If
they
it's
could
the
stay
right
over
time
the
of year.
weekends, I
Yeah,
guess,
there
if they
you go.
want.
Just stay out there for the weekend and then pick it up Monday.
That's right.
Yeah, that's cool. So, what are you seeing? What are the biggest challenges for your clients right now? I'm assuming with the world we're in and how things are going, costs are obviously big. I mean, so what are you seeing that does to the client? Is it limiting what they can do? Is it having them just pause and hold off on the build? Is it a little bit of both?
Yeah.
What are you finding there?
By and large, I mean, our customers are coming with some form of pockets of money and so forth. But having said that, still, we're having a lot of clients, for example, looking to do additions, and when we get all that information and the quote back to them, they go, this was more than we were anticipating, and so then they set the project down like a year or so down the line, just because their expectations, weren't matched up with what the cost is today to build a home, and that's getting to your point is. Things are costly, and to do anything custom, especially, is a huge driver in the people's ability to afford it or not. So. That's what we're seeing. But for the people who have, and know what they want, I mean, it's typically a great process, and we get to rock and roll on it.
Cool. Love that.
Yeah.
All right.
From the Mr. Mortgage Man over here side of things, do you guys see people mostly cash? Do you see people leaning on on loans of some kind?
Yeah. Even if people do have money, it's not often that somebody's just writing us a check. They're doing some form of lending.
Yep.
At least for the construction loan aspect of it, they may end up paying that off pretty rapidly. But
Gotcha.
I haven't had a lot of people for a large project, at least, that there hasn't been some level of funding.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty.
Matt,
normal
tell us
for us.
how we can work with a company like yours.
Yeah, so-
I've obviously started doing some stuff with Frank here, but we want to extend our partnerships and
That's a great. So that's what I was going to just chime in on. That was a perfect segue. I was going to. So that's where a lot of times, if someone has a piece of land, they buy. A lot of times it's cash. You can get a lot loan, but if you can get a piece of land, you can use that land as equity. So you can play that into the build.
Yep.
So if they bought a piece of land, say for $200,000, we can use that as a lot equity. So it's good to use as down payment money, if you call it that. So if the build costs $800,000, we can use that $200,000 as part of the part of the equity they have down payment. And like draws. You're going to need those draws to go through the draw schedule and things like that.
Yep.
So it's all custom based on what you want in labor, but it's just getting your ducks in a row. I always say with people that, to Frank's point, coming in, I want to build a house. And I don't chuckle, but I'm like, okay, I'm like, buckle, like this isn't just, let's just go finding the land, finding the builder, doing all of those things and having all of your ducks in a row big time. But the financing is there. I mean, it's still very attractive, and there's a lot of places, local banks we partner with for the lot loans and the construction loans. We also do the turnkey as well. But the financing is absolutely there.
They've got all the programs, all the options. So again, if we continue to work together on stuff, he's usually my go-to guy.
I want to keep that conversation going, beyond this podcast. There are people who come to us and ask about what kind of financing options and partners that we use and so forth. And at this point, it's limited. I mean, typically, he's got experience with a couple local banks, and that's typically our first go-to. But there's tons of options, and if we have a preferred partner going forward, that'd be great. So,
and to shout them out too, what I like, whether it's resale, whether it's this situation, that they have programs with some other builders too, so they know that side of things. But they can kind of take the busy work out of the client having to go and shop it all or figure it all out, because they have the partners with all the different lenders, whether they're local or not, and they can kind of piece it together for the buyer, which is really
that's
nice.
great. It's great.
I couldn't say it better enough.
That's fantastic. Thank you. We did not rehearse that.
That was good.
Well, just from the standpoint of the builder, I know that there's also like you have to basically be vetted by the
Mhm.
lender. So there's a process for
Right.
us. And so
Yep.
a lot of our experience so far has just been with preferred lenders because of, we already have a relationship there. So there's
Yep.
not added work on
Right.
the front
Yes.
end for me to
Yep.
find an additional
Yep.
lender that will, we go through the process. It's not exhaustive by any stretch of the imagination, but
Sure, but yeah, you guys want to know
Yeah,
too
checks and
that who
balances.
you're sitting with is
Yeah.
qualified and
Yeah.
this is
Yeah,
going to
for
go
sure.
through. Yeah.
Well, one of the things for a builder's perspective is the time that it takes to get a draw from,
Good
because
point.
you
Yeah.
go, you have to get to a spot in the job where you can actually request the draw. But in order to be able to request it, then the bank has to come out and do an inspection to verify that work is done.
Sure.
And then from the time that report then makes it to whoever is releasing the draw, and then that draw has to either go to you in the form of like,
Mhm.
if somebody goes with the bank that we bank with, it's easy because it's a transfer easily. There's no,
Oh,
but
yeah.
if I have to get a wire transfer or something, there's fees associated. And so
Yep.
there's that, or you have to just wait for a check to get mailed. So I've already had a project where like we'd be a month or so between when we got to the point where we could use a draw and when we finally got it. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that's the norm,
Yeah.
but
That can
But it's
happen.
certainly a
that
delay,
can
right?
happen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so as a person that's trying to keep your project moving,
Yes.
trying to make money on that,
Yep.
there's an important element there that as a lender, the simpler you can make it
Yep.
for the builder, it's
Yeah,
really helpful.
absolutely.
So
Mhm.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Real quick, what I'm curious of, what is your favorite trend? I'm putting you on the spot here. Favorite trend you're seeing buyers put into their homes consistently right now?
mm,
I would say we love doing kitchens, right? So fancy kitchens, they're projects that we know well.
mm,
They're projects, to Steve's point from way earlier, that you really get to bring out the artistic side of
Yeah.
of our skill set
yeah.
and see a beautiful result, right? And in a space that is the most usable in anyone's home, right?
Yeah.
So we're spending a ton of time.
Tall ceilings, stacked cabinetry, that kind of
Love
stuff.
that.
Beamwork, like
Mhm.
Yeah.
architectural accents is
Yeah.
is nice. And it's a trend. Like we're in a farm country, so like
Yeah.
most of our work is kind of west.
Yep.
And so we're still in that. We're not like in the city. We don't do a lot in the city. We mostly stick to townships that are kind of west of here, and so a lot of that's farm country. So
Yeah.
it's that traditional farm style.
Yeah.
A lot of like people are using
Mhm.
shaker style or like
Uh-huh.
exposed wood beams and things like that. And that's
Nice.
that's my preference.
Yeah.
So
Not
because
a whole
that,
lot of mid-century modern or
no,
contemporary
although we
stuff
did a
happening.
mid-century modern kitchen for good friends of ours, and it
Okay.
turned out pretty well. But
Nice.
that's not our first
Go to.
go to. But
Right. That's
Pot
cool
filler,
style.
pro or con?
I like it. I mean, most people are getting these big, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of people are getting like, it's no longer a 36 inch or a 30 inch, range. Now
Gotcha.
a lot of people are going to like 48 inch,
Nice.
cooktops and stuff.
Love
And so when you're hauling, water, especially the bigger the kitchen too. A lot of times people don't think about the design of their kitchen
Functionality,
for
right?
function.
Yeah.
They want the
Yeah.
appearance and the aesthetic. Everything has to line up a certain way.
Right.
The problem that you'll run into is, there's this algorithm basically for like, the triangular space between
Yep.
like your refrigerator sink and your,
Yes.
your cooking area. And and even workstation too, like available counter space, things like that are things to consider. But anyway, a lot of times people will not pay attention. Like they'll have their sink on the opposite end of the kitchen. And it's like, now you're lugging that thing all the way across. So
Yeah,
yes, I think pot fillers are a pro.
I'm a fan. I think
Yeah.
they look cool too.
Yeah,
They're neat.
I think so. Just don't let your kid on the counter
No,
and just open that
sounds
bad
like
boy
it.
up.
Right.
So yeah.
Good stuff, guys. Anything else you wanted to hit on? We obviously appreciate you coming in. We're wrapping up here.
No,
Just
we
wanna
went way longer than your normal
finish
podcast.
with-
You got a lot of
No,
work
good stuff.
cutting this up.
Gabby's
so.
got it on the back end.
Yeah,
No worries.
No, we appreciate the opportunity. We really
Yeah,
do.
thanks
Yeah,
for coming.
it's
yeah,
fun.
guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Great convo.
Appreciate it.
All right. Any questions you guys have, all contact info, like will be at the end of the cast. Guys, thank you so much. And
You bet.
we'll have you back in.
Yeah,
This is
sounds
really,
good.
really fun.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
As
Appreciate it.
always,
Thanks.
hit that like button, comment, subscribe. Mortgage Celebrities,
Got it.
Frank and Rob Partners in Property. Thanks, guys.
All right. See ya.
See ya.